So the next thing I would like us to quickly look at, of course, if you look over here, would be where did that go? User authentication and authorization. And for now, I'm just going to create a folder down here, and I can call this utils. We will arrange this much later, of course, as we progress in the course. And in here, I would like to create a file, and I'll call this token.go. So package utils. So what I would like to do here is more or less define like the basic functionalities, and more or less what we'll do is we will generate JWT tokens, we'll verify the tokens, and then we would verify this for every incoming request. That's basically what we're going to do. And yeah, of course, this can really get complex, as you can already imagine, because of course, if you work with different, say, cloud providers, there are slightly little differences when it comes to more or less decoding these JWT tokens. But for now, we will keep it simple. We'll generate our own tokens, we'll put them in the request, and then we'll verify them. And so what I would want to do here is to define a struct that would hold everything, some of the things we would want to put in our token. So I can call this custom, maybe some like custom claims. Of course, it's going to be a struct. And so we'd have a user, which will be of type models.user. And I would like to be able to mash out this using JSON, and I can simply call this user. And next, I would just want to use every I would just want to use the standard claims, and I'm going to have to install a package that's going to help us with this, and that's actually going to come from JWT Go. So I can put this in braces this way, and then bring this down here. So I'll bring this down here, and now I can actually do like go mod tidy. So we're able to install this package because we need it. And now we have it installed. So now what I would want to do is just define two functions, basically just keeping it quite simple. So the next first function will be to generate let's call it JWT like this. So it's going to provide a user of type models.user, and what else, and then we probably have to provide a secret, and then in the end this should return two things for us. This should return a string and an error. I'm trying to be a little bit fast here so this video doesn't take so much time. And I can call this claims, and we use custom claims, and I would provide user. This of course would be our user, and I can provide my standard claims this way. And of course, sorry, this should be of type JWT standard claims. Awesome. And now if you hover over this, you can see a lot of some of the things you can actually provide, but we can actually just try to provide as many of them as possible. So here I can provide something like expire that, and I can use time.now to use the current time, and then maybe I provide when I want this to expire, say time.hour, and then I can make this 24 hours more or less. And yeah, maybe I also use Unix, because this is what it would be expecting, because if you hover over this, it's not expecting a string, so that's why I would have to convert this into Unix timestamp. And again, I would want issuer, issued at, and I'm just going to copy this again, put it here, and now I don't need to add hours, so it just tells me when this was issued. And now I would want to add maybe issuer, And here I can just maybe copy our package. So I just copy this guy, Golang guy. So this is going to be our issuer. But of course you understand what we are trying to do here. And let me see if there is another thing we'd want to add. Audience. Yes, I'm just gonna also add the same thing. It's totally fine. And I think this is enough. This is enough just to keep it simple. And so now what we have to do is token. This is the token we want to return to the user. So jwt.new with claims. And here we have to pass the sign-in method. So this would be jwt.sign-in. I would want to use HS256, so it should be this one, sign-in method HS256, and I provide my claims. And now I will want to return the signed string like this. And of course I have to provide the secret for the sign-in, and this should be bytes, and this will come from my, what am I doing? This would be my secret like this, and that should be it. So of course this would return two things, as you can see over here: a string if everything goes well, and an error, and of course this matches our function signature. Pretty straightforward. And the next function I would like to define here would be validate JWT, and again I would like to provide the token string and of course the secret as well. So this secret would, of course, both of them would be strings, and this is going to return two things. It's going to return custom claims or an error, as simple as this. And so we need to create the variable like this, more or less, where we can map what we are getting back. So I can call this as claims, and this would be take a reference to custom claims like this. And now I will need to pass the token, so I'll say json.parse with claims, and now I'll have to provide the token string and the claims, and of course I need to add the callback function, and here I'll provide this function like this. So it's gonna take a JWT token, which is I'm just gonna explicitly call this token like this. And in here, what I would want to return, of course, I'll just return bytes. So on this byte again, I'll provide my secret like this, and of course in nil if this fails. So and because of that, I'm expecting two things over here. So I can call this token and error. So I'll have to handle the error. So again, if error is not equal to nil, we return here. I would like to return nil and the error. And then again, that's not all. We have to check if the token is valid. So we can say if token.valid, or maybe I just return the error again here. So if token.valid is not nil, here I will want to return nil, and here I can actually return a new error. I'll say error.new, and I'll say invalid token string provided, something like this. And of course, if everything goes as expected and if the token is valid, now we return our claims and nil. That's pretty straightforward what we want to do. And so to more or less what I might also want to do to, of course, verify this is if we go to let's look at our handlers. We have auth, so we have login. So in the login method, maybe here this is where I might want to use this. So we can just call this method and then get the token, and then we can then use this in our requests. As straightforward as that. I just want you to understand my thought process here. So in the login process, what I would want to do is I will create a user, which will be of this is coming from mod. So I have to yes, dot user. My telesense is not helping me, and okay, now we are here. And maybe what I want to do is I can come to here and let's just start our server. Okay, now for now I'm just gonna I will fill this up later, but let's leave this as this for now. So this is my user, and I'm gonna provide the secret, and this secret I'm gonna say something like maybe my secret key, whatever. We will make this much more secure, but I just want you to understand what we're trying to do here. So I can say token, the token that I'm going to return to the user after login. This would come from, of course, so this should be from utils.generate jwt, and I need to pass the user and the secrets. Nope. Secrets. Of course, what is the problem? Yes, of course, it has to be like this. And now pretty straightforward. If this errors out, so we say if we handle the error if this error is not nil. So here I would like to, of course, I don't want to do this here anymore. Come on, Tony, what's going on today? And now here I can again now return to the user, and here I say for now I say 401, and here I will say I would like to add more information. So I will say error, and I'll add a string and it sound like you are not authorized, something like this. And if we have a token, I will now just return again to the user to be a 200, and I would like to provide this token in the header, so I say token and I provide the token like this. And so the whole point more or less is that when we log in, we we call this endpoint and then we generate some token for us. That's totally fine. And so I start the server, go run main.go, and what I would want to do is, for now, let's follow this step by step so I don't confuse you. So I would like to get my users. The server is taking a while to start up, and now the server itself. So what I would want to do now is to get our users. So I just send this request, and what I might do is maybe copy this user and then go to our login and then provide that information here. So I would say first name. Maybe I just paste this over here and then comment it out so it doesn't complain, whatever. So now we'll say token, Tony, sorry, not token. And last name would be 18, and email will be let me know if you can pronounce that, and ID would be this guy over here. Let's copy it, put it in here. And what is this? User require created at. I'm just gonna put it here, doesn't matter, created at. I'm just copy this and put it here, it's totally fine. And now this will be our user. And then do we have a login? So we have a login, of course. So I restart our server, go back over here, create an endpoint called login. So I can just copy. So first of all, our login is a get. I'm just gonna change this to auth. Login should be a post. And again, I restart this guy, and I come back here. I can copy this actually. Maybe I want to come up here, and maybe before all of this, I can put this here, and I can call this login. And this will be at v1/auth /login. Actually, there was really no need to change that into a post, but of course, convention wise, it should be a post, so it's still fine. So we now call our login, and it says not found. Why is it not found? So of course, because this is a get, so we'll change it to a post right quickly, and then we make a call, and now we have our token. And now the points of doing this actually is that I would like to revisit all of these endpoints, but now would of course provide a token. So what we can quickly do is we can come over here, go to our users. So let's start with get user, so this one. Now what we have to do now is to provide this token in the header. For now, I'm just going to leave it in the header so we can get it from the header, and then we validate. So what we can quickly do more or less is I will create a function here in our handlers. Again, we would modify this going forward, but for now, I don't want to dump everything on you for now, but I want us to incrementally make this code better. So here I would want to create a method, and I can call this auth. No, I don't want to call it auth. I can call it token.go and do for package handler. So what this function more or less will do for me is to return the token in the header if it is there. If it is not, it returns an empty string. Okay, so I can call this func get token. So it's going to take a Gin context, because I'm going to pass the context to the function, and it's going to return two things. It's going to return a string and error, more or less. So two things. And what we're going to do is actually pretty straightforward. So we get the token from the header, and to get that, we go to the request, go to header, and then we have to provide a key here. So, and the key would be a string called authorization, like this. And what we want to do now is to get our access token. I can call this now access token. And we would need to do that by trimming our token, trimming the prefix, because this should be a bearer token. There should be a bearer and then the token. So here I can say strings. I'm using the strings package, and I say trim strings, trim prefix, like this. And now I need to provide the token and of course the prefix. The prefix would be bearer, like this. And of course there's always a space in between. So now we validate this. So if access token is an empty string, so if this is not the case, or if you provided an empty string in the initial place, which case access token would be equal to token. If that is the case, now what we'd want to do is we'll return nil, and we return a new error, and this error would say token missing in header of request, something like this. And maybe here what is complaining, of course it cannot map nil to string, so I can just to keep it simple, I just return an empty string for now. It's okay. But if everything is okay, I will return my access token and nil, like this. Pretty straightforward. So what I can now do is, if I go to, for example, this one, which is fetching all our users over here, what I will now do is I would say if now I call this method, okay, I can simply call this method get token. This should be from handlers.get token, like this, and I pass the context. And again, we would get to 10, so I say access, maybe up here I can say var token, or let me make it explicit. I say access token would be of that string, and again maybe an error of type error, and now we can say access token and error. And we say this, if this error is not nil, so if there was actually an error And what is the error saying? Yeah, to me. So if there is an error, so this is where I would want to return to this user. So here would provide HTTP on unauthorized, and I can pass some additional information and say error, and I can say invalid token provided or token missing in header, like this. And again, we will improve on this going forward, but that's still okay for now. So now we have our access token. And so with our access token, what we again want to do now is to validate this token. So again, our login, we got this from utils. So now say utils dot validate JWT, and oops, what did I type here? Oops, IntelliSense is really slow today. I have no idea. Come on. Okay, and now what we need to provide here is we need to provide our token. So our access token and our secret. So again, we'll handle this better, but let's proceed for now. We'll gradually improve our code. So this should return validates JWT. Let's look here. Should return yes. So why does this show me? Yes, of course, custom claims and error. So again, we invalidate this. I'll call this claim. No, I don't want to create new variables. So I'll say claims error, like this. And again, I do this. I can just copy this. I'm tired of typing this out. I just put it down here. So I simply say if this error is not equal to new, I can say invalid token provided. Now we know the token is there, only that is invalid. And now what can we do with our claim? So maybe for now, let's print the claim. So we say claims, and we add some string. I'll say the user decoded JWT, something like this. And so now we can restart again, and we test this all out. We go to our HTTP again, and now what it means is if we make our send gets all users requests, it should fail because no token is provided. So now here we can now say authorization, and we provide a bearer token like this. And before that, let's do the login again, so we can copy this guy. And now we come back here, and then we put it in. And now we send our request. And now you see this is validated. Pretty straightforward. But one thing you would notice is, of course, we are providing, if you go to this login page, we are hard coding this user here. Right, so but before we handle this error, I just want to be sure that you actually understood what happened here. So initially we can just visit all this our endpoint, but now we have implemented authentication. We have added this to this get users endpoint. Of course, these are the ones it should still be fine because it's not added yet. Yeah, of course, get user record is no longer there anymore. So but it should still be fine, but if we want to protect all the other endpoints, all we have to do is to just copy the logic we have over here for get. Basically what we did here, you can simply just copy this and put it everywhere. And I'm just going to quickly copy that and put it everywhere. So I've quickly added all this to all our endpoints. So if we look over here to create, now we have this, and maybe I just I can actually move. I don't need to do this at all for the user. I'll only do this after I can verify that you have valid tokens, and then we can proceed validating your request. So we have this for create. We have this for delete, for get by ID, is fine. The get we already had initially, and of course for update. So if we restart our server now, you would realize that all our endpoints should be authenticated, even though there is still so much to be updated. So if we now go to create user, it will say we don't have valid token, but again, we can just copy our token from here, come over here and put it, and then we send our request. I'll move this to the side so you can see. So we send our requests, and then suddenly it works. So this is really the point. But now, like I said, if you notice, to actually get the token in the first place, if you go to auth login, we actually had coding this. So now what we need to do here is our login will change it just so that the user can provide an email and a password. For now, we are not talking about password, but we'll get to that in a minute. But we'll get the email, we'll try to fetch this user from our database. If it does exist, then we will provide the token, and if not, then we error out, more or less, as quickly as possible, as simple as that. And to do that, we come over here to this our login. Maybe I'll just clear this out a little bit so we can see the whole thing. I'll close all of this, go away, and I close most of this. Actually, I don't need those for now. Let me go this, clear this place so we have a clean working place. Awesome. So now I open the login page, and here I can actually just go to users, maybe get by ID, what we did here, and I'll just copy everything. I'll just copy everything like this and come back to login and put that here. And I can get rid of this. We don't need this anymore. And of course, we don't need this anymore. And what else? Yes, of course, we are already in handlers, so I can just remove this. It should be fine. No, I need it. So I say handler. Now I get rid of this. Handlers that gets token. Okay, now so we have handlers imported, and now we're fetching the token. But before we get to this point, actually for the login there is no token, so there is nothing to validate, more or less. So I take out this once again. Take this one out. There is no ID. We don't have all of this. I take this one as well. So now we have this our client, which is totally fine. But now we need a method whereby we can return users based on their email. And what we have to do, more or less, is to go to our models, come over here, and we can actually reuse our gets. That's totally fine. So we come here, we have our user, and we would be getting this from here. So we can actually just go to the create user and then copy this part, because we like to validate the request. So we copy this, come over here and place this. So now this should represent our user. I can actually call it user so it doesn't confuse anybody. So I put this here, user. No, I would rather call it request. It's totally fine. So here we have our user, and what I would want to do is in the request I'll provide an email, and then I'll use that email to run this query over here, and then we return this user. So at this point we have actually don't need this here, and here also we don't need this, because here when we run the query, if everything goes well, we would have the user returned. And then what we can now do is to pass that request here. So you should have everything we need. And then if everything goes well, we return the token after login. So let's try that out and see if that works. So we come over to our HTTP, go to login. So now the login, of course, is a post. And now we provide an email. So I'll provide an email this way. And I copy this email here, this one, and put it here. and now we send our request. Awesome. So now we don't need to hard code this. More or less this is coming from over here, but of course in the future we would want to not just provide an email, we would provide a password, but of course that will be the next thing we do. If you come over here, you will see that. So we take care of this authentication and authorization, and then we still have to get to session management, but we'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, we have passwords here and all that. So, but the point, as you can see over here, is instead of hard coding this and the login page is no longer hard coded, we are getting this from the incoming request, and now we get this result back. And of course, we can take this token that we have after login and we can use it to make our request, and it should still work. So this is what we got back, and we can use it to create a user, and this should still work totally fine. And yep, so that would be it's more or less an authorization, authentication more or less, but of course I'm hoping you already know the difference between authorization and authentication.